Good day. Today, we will learn and discuss about the different stages of cognitive development by John Piaget, and also the different basic cognitive concepts according to John Piaget. I am Christopher V. Delvin, and I will be the first reporter about the background life of John Piaget, and also I will discuss about the overview of his theory, the stages of cognitive development, the first stage and the second stage. Ruel de la Rusa will discuss the third one and the last one of cognitive development theory. Theory of cognitive development is truly a classic in the field of educational psychology. When we say psychology, is the scientific study of the mind and behavior. Psychologists are actively involved in studying and understanding mental processes, brain functions, and behavior. That's why John Piaget theory is called stages of cognitive development because in the first place, John Piaget is a psychologist. So, this theory is focused on how individuals construct knowledge. Okay, let's talk about John William Fritz Piaget. He was born on August 9, 1896 at Neuchâtel, Switzerland. He died on September 16, 1980 at Geneva, Switzerland at the age of 84. Alma mater, University of Neuchâtel and University of Zurich. His fields are the developmental psychology and epistemology. A while ago, I already defined what is psychology. And when we say epistemology is the philosophical study of the nature, origin, and limits of human knowledge. John Piaget conducted research on cognitive development. His research method involved observing a small number of individuals as they responded to cognitive tasks that he designed Piagetian tasks. He also called his general theoretical framework, which is the genetic epistemology, because he was interested on how knowledge developed in human organism. Knowledge from both this discipline influenced his theories and research of the child development. And out of his researches, Piaget came up with the stages of cognitive development. Now, let's examine a few of the important ideas and concepts or the basic cognitive concepts that are introduced by Piaget. These are the sum of the factors that influence how children learn and grow. First, we have schema. In Piaget's view, a schema includes both a category of knowledge and the process of obtaining that knowledge, meaning it is an individual way to understand or create meaning about the thing or experience. Say for instance, ang bata na first time na nakakita sa dog and he or she creates meaning about the dog. Mari niyang sabihin na may apat na paa, may buntot, at ang aso ay tumatahol. Next, we have assimilation. It occurs when we modify or change new information to fit into our schemas. Okay, mari nating balikan ang example na ang bata ay nakakita sa dog at nakakita siya ulit ng mas maliit pang dog. In this situation, the child would make sense by adding information or facts about the dog. Then he could say that there are smaller and bigger dogs. Then we have accommodation as the cognitive process of revising existing cognitive schemas, perceptions, and understanding so that new information can be incorporated. For example, ang bata ay nakakita ng ibang hayop na katulad sa dog na may apat na paa like a goat. Maaari niyang sabihin sa kanyang mama na, "Mama, mayroong nakakatawang aso." At maaring magsabi rin si mama na, "That is a goat, not a dog." So, accommodation is the process of recreating new schemas. Dahil nalaman na ng bata ang schema niya sa dog, then he would create another schema about the goat. Lastly, equilibration. It is very important because it describes the cognitive balancing of new information with old knowledge. When we say equilibration, equal, there should be a balance between the assimilation and accommodation. So, we need to exert effort through the process of assimilation and accommodation to establish equilibration once more. Here, we can perceive and understand something that exists in the environment. Kaya kailangan muna dumaan ang isang bata sa proseso ng assimilation sa pagtamo ng bagong kaalaman batay sa kanyang nakikita sa paligid. And then, sa proseso ng accommodation. Kailangan niyang itama ang mga bagay na hindi niya naunawaan sa unang eskema. That's why we have parents and caregivers that teaches us about the facts sidto na mga bagay, or sila ang nagpapaintindi kung ano ang ibig sabihin sidto na mga bagay na nakikita sa mga bata. So after the Piaget cognitive concepts, we will now discuss the different stages of cognitive development. We have 4 stages of cognitive development. First, we have sensory motor stage. The second one, pre-operational stage. And the third one, concrete operational stage. And the last one, formal operational stage. When we say sensory motor stage as an overview, the child begins to interact with their environment. The second one, the child begins to represent the world symbolically. The third stage, the child learns rules such as conservation. And the formal operational stage, adolescent can transcend concrete the situation and think about the future. Okay, let's focus on the stage 1, the sensory motor stage. It corresponds from birth to infancy or the 2 years of age. When we say sensory motor stage, is when the child who is initially reflexive in sucking, grasping, looking, and listening. The term sensory motor focuses on the importance or prominence of the senses, a muscle movement for the motor through which the infant comes to learn about himself and the world. In working the children under stage 1, we as a future educator, we should provide a rich and stimulating environment to our children and appropriate object to play with. Because I have said a while ago, under stage 1, the child begins to interact with their environment. So, it is important to give them a conducive learning, to manipulate objects, especially in giving the right things wherein they play with. Okay, let's proceed to the pre-operational thought. Stage 2 covers to about 2 to 7 years old. Pre-operational thought is characterized by intuitive thought, logic based only on experiences, of course, symbols in play, egocentrism, lack of conservation, and animism. First characteristic under the pre-operational stage is symbols in play or symbolic function. When we say symbolic function is when children are able to understand, represent, remember, and picture objects in their mind without having the object in front of them. I have here the different kids who are under pre-operational stage. Our first picture, ang bata ay nagpretend na may kinakausap siya sa banana o bilang kanyang phone. Then, the girl pretending to be a superhero na kahit walang costume or props ay kumikilos siya na bilang si Darna o Wonder Woman. Kung babalikan natin ang ating mga karanasan noong bata pa tayo, siguradong marami ang maalala natin, minsan pa nga ay matatawa tayo. Sa katunayan, maraming beses tayong nagkukunwari na maging host sa anumang mga event like pageant, nagarampa-rampa kita dira, bisan kita-kita lang. So, maraming mga pangyayari ang nagagawa natin or pagkukunwari noong bata pa tayo. Then, we have egocentrism. It refers to child's inability to see a situation from another person's point of view. Noong bata tayo, kung ano ang ating iniisip, nag-a-assume kita na pareho lang din ang ating point of view sa ibang tao, sa ating mga magulang, or sa ating mga kapatid. Minsan pa nga, masasabi natin noon na ang ating daddy ay maaring daddy rin ng iba. Alright, then we have lack of conservation under the pre-operational stage. Concept that certain basic properties of an object, example, volume, mass, and weight, remain the same even if its physical appearance changes. When we say conservation, it is the tendency to only focus in one aspect, thing, or event. Like in this illustration, even they have same amount of water, but nagpupokus lang ang isang bata sa isang bagay na kung saan ang mas mataas. Another thing, under pre-operational stage, we have irreversibility. It refers to the young child's difficulty mentally reversing a sequence of events. Say for instance, ang bata ay marunong mag-add, maaari niyang sabihin na 3 plus 2 equals 5. Ngunit hindi pa siya nakaunawa sa anumang pagbabaliktad like subtraction. Kaya maaari niyang sabihin na 3 minus 2 equals 5 pa rin. Okay, then we have animism. It is the belief that inanimate objects are capable of actions and have life-like qualities. For example, kung makikita natin sa mga bata, minsan sila ay umiiyak kapag sinipa or inapakan ang kanilang paboritong stuffed animal sapagkat natatakot sila na masaktan ito. So that is animism. Lastly, we have transductive reasoning. In here, we can know the type of reasoning of a child, and that is particular to particular, not from specific to general. Or the other one, the general to specific. For example, A is causes B and B is also causes A. Halimbawa, maaring sasabihin ng bata na gabi na kapag dumating o umuwi na ang kanilang mami sa bahay galing trabaho or pamalingki, kaya para sa kanila madali nilang sabihin na gabi na.
Okay. Good morning, ma'am. I am Ruel Largo de la Rosa and I am about to discuss your given topic, which is the lesson 6 entitled Piaget Stages of Cognitive Development. Okay, so the topic that I will discuss to you for today is a continuation of the topic that is already discussed to you by Mr. Christopher Delphine a while ago. So it's all about lesson 6 entitled Piaget Stages of Cognitive Development. So, what is Piaget stages of cognitive developments? It is a comprehensive theory about the natures and development of human intelligence. And this theory suggests that children move through 4 different stages of mental development. And it is not only focused on understanding how the children acquire knowledge, but also on understanding the natures of intelligence. So, since the stage 1 and 2 is already discussed by Mr. Delphine, and I will discuss to you the stage 3 and the stage 4. So, let's proceed to the stage 3, which is the concrete operational stage, which is belong to the 8-11 years old. First, we have decentering. What is decentering? So, decentering is the ability of the child to perceive the different features of the object and situations. For example, when a child asked to choose between 2 lollipops, and the child might choose based on how one flavor is better than the other, even though the other is the same size and color. So the decentering belong to the operational thought. Okay, next, reversibility. What is reversibility? Reversibility is the ability to follow the certain operations in reverse. For example, a child might be able to recognize that his or her dog is a Labrador, that a Labrador is a dog, and that a dog is an animal. And then, so the reversibility belongs to the operational thought. Next is a conservations. What is conservations? Conservation is the ability to know the certain properties of object like number, mass, volume, or area do not change even if there is a change in appearance. For example, conservation is a program to try to save old buildings. An example of conservation is an attempt to minimize the amount of electricity you use by turning off lights when you leave a room. And then, a conservation belongs to the operational thought. Okay, next. And last, for the stage 3, concrete operational stage, is the seriation. What is seriation? So seriation is ability to order or arrange things in series based on one dimension such as weight, volume, or size. For example, a children putting objects in order from short to tall, thin to big, small to large, or of importance, and so forth. So that is all for the stage 3. Let's proceed to the stage 4, which is the formal operational stage, belongs to 12 to 15 years old. So first is the hypothetical reasoning. So what is hypothetical reasoning? Hypothetical reasoning is the ability to come up with a different hypothesis about problem and to gather and weight data in order to make a final decisions or judgment. Meaning, hypothetical reasoning provides evidence against hypothesis by testing its logical consequences. For example, if I get ill, then I can't go to work, and if I can't go to work, then I can't get money. So hypothetical reasoning belongs to the abstract concepts. Next is the analogical reasoning. What is analogical reasoning? Analogical reasoning is the ability to perceive the relationship in one instance and then use the relationship to narrow down possible answers in other similar situations or a problem. Otherwise, analogical reasoning is an argument between two same confusing thing or matter. For example, life is a roller coaster with lots of ups and downs. So analogical reasoning belongs to the abstract concept. Next is the deductive reasoning. What is deductive reasoning? It is the ability to think logically by applying a general rule to a particular instance or situations. In the other word, deductive reasoning is a basic form of valid reasoning. For example, all men are mortal. Harold is a man. Therefore, Harold is a mortal. For deductive reasoning to be sound, the hypothesis must be correct. It is assumed that the premises, all men are mortal and Harold is a man, are true. So, that is all our topic for today. Thank you and God bless.